Hello there, everyone. Patricia here, and I am like so excited to be here. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Patricia Hayes, and I am an executive advisor, an empowerment coach, authentic networking strategist. But here on this platform, I'm ready to start talking about how to celebrate you in all your greatness. Because that's been something that's really been in my on my mind, in the things that I do. It's embedded in the work that I've done over the years, had a whole series over it, and then kind of strayed away, right? As things need to get, quote, more structured and more professional and all of that. And I just really have to thank several folks that I follow in socials, but specifically Glow Autonomo, who has been extremely inspirational about getting back to the expressing of your voice in all of its authenticity. And we'll talk more about that later because that's something that I really do care about is being authentic in your relationships and your work environments and all the things that you do. We're not perfect. I'm not perfect. We're going to talk about that because literally I have been putting this off for a good solid 2 months probably. The holidays were in there, sure, but I had this all scripted out to go out as a new series in a very structured way, but I wasn't motivated to do it. Like I have the stuff, but I wasn't really being motivated to do it. And so it just kind of hung around as I kept, trying to perfect it and realizing that it's not going to be perfect. And because the things that I want to talk about now in this new space, um, they're messy. We're talking about horrible job exits. I'm talking about nasty experiences on nonprofit boards. I'm talking about tough relationship shifts with friends and family. All of those things that compose you being a real person in the real world and the things that we actually deal with, and yet still seeking to become, quote, all that we can be, while fighting off conventional wisdom and, doing things the way other people and conventional wisdom says it should be done, as opposed to the way that we know we need to do it now. And that's really what this is all about is me coming forward, um, not in a new way, but with a different perspective. There it is. With a different perspective to talk about the things that matter, not just to me, but for the folks that I talk to all the time, the struggles that I hear with fellow small business folks, it's specifically women who are, raising families, women who are single and raising families, women who are divorced with no family. I mean, like the whole spectrum of it. And I talk to all of these people all the time in these private one off conversations. And this is an opportunity to pull those together, I think, and to let folks, dare I say, inside my brain a little bit, just as if we were really sitting down and have coffee. So if you followed me for any little bit of time or not, you can feel free to go check them. But like I hosted Coffee Time Career Chats for years. So coming on and doing video is not new to me. Public speaking is not new to me. I have been doing public speaking since I was 14 years old, when I truly was scared for my life when I started it, when I made myself go join the speech and debate team because I had decided I was going to be a lawyer, and so I needed to be able to speak in front of people. And that was not necessarily natural to me. And so I did that and loved it, and um, did public speaking in a competitive environment for my entire high school career. did not do it competitively in high school, but really just launched from, excuse me, in college. But from there, I just really did. And I started speaking publicly for myself, for other organizations. I wrote speeches for people, even though that wasn't my job. Like, you'll learn all about all of those things. And as we start talking about, utilizing all of your skills and how some things come back home for you to utilize in new ways many, many years later. But all that to say, for whatever reason, I was really struggling coming back to do this. And like I said, I was hosting Coffee Time Career Chat for, I think I did my first Coffee Time Career Chats like almost 10 years ago. Um, which would have been around 2016. I'm almost positive it's been uh, if not a full 10 years, but almost 10 years ago. And really focused on talking about relationship building and networking and all of those things that I learned, those skills that I learned from the work that I was doing with lobbying. And then I started hosting more of those conversations. So it wasn't just about networking, it was about career development because all along that time, I was doing a lot of public speaking at women's conferences for private groups and associations about women's development, about networking, about leadership. And I still do those things and I love them. But even then, there's not as many of those opportunities, and I'm ready for a level up for that. So that's some of the things you'll learn about as I'm exploring, this messy part of making a pivot. And as I've been describing it, I'm pivoting on my pivot. So yeah, that's the level of discomfort that I have, is because I am a planner at heart. And so literally right now, I am working without notes. Now, I can speak without notes for days on things, but I always know where I'm headed. I always know where I'm headed. And right now, the plan that I had for next um this next project, venturing out on YouTube deliberately, it's not as planned. It is not. I know where I want to end up, and I'm hoping that it ends up there and that it meets the people, meets the needs of the people who need it most, right? And I'm hoping for that to be specifically, you know, women, professional women, women with jobs and careers that are high, stakes, who are seeking those jobs that are high stakes, but you still have responsibilities beyond yourself, right? You are taking care of aging parents, perhaps. You're taking care of family, maybe you're married, maybe you're not. Maybe you have small kids, maybe you have older kids. My kids are in college, right? They're gone and out of the house. They're not really gone. Like all last week, I dealt with kid problems long distance. And so those things never go away, all while still trying to to serve in my community, to, you know, do something with this thing I call a business and pivoting it to where it can meet my needs and where I am with the energy and capacity that I have today, which does not look like what I had not even five. Well, I won't even say 5 years. 5 years ago was not a good example. But let's say 8, 10 years ago, there's just been a huge shift, and we'll talk about some of my uh, health issues, health crises, the burnout from work and job, and how all of that caved in just the most fabulous way. And I don't mean that in a good way. I mean, but it's like truly dramatic ways. And created situations where I literally couldn't be on camera, even though that's the work that I was doing, was speaking. And there were days, because of a chronic illness that I developed, I couldn't be on camera, like physically could not be on camera because I was swelling up like, someone blowing up a balloon, you know? So I'm looking forward to being able to share all of those things. And I want to call this Celebrate You Conversations to align with, I'm still trying to find the words. Maybe I'll use the word movement that I have instigated and started many years ago, that I just called Celebrate You, but it was about pulling all aspects of yourself together. The professional you, of course, but your creative side, your, focusing on your health, your spiritual side, you're being empowered, having fun, just all of those things, and pulling them together and reminding people, especially women, that you are a multi-dimensional being. And that's really what I want to bring this all back home to, because even I had gotten to a point where I was putting things in little buckets and not pulling them together until, things just implode. And it's like, honey, I don't have time for that. I don't have time. I don't have the capacity anymore. My energy cannot take it. And if I'm going to pour myself into something new, or maybe not even new, but what I want to have high impact, then it's got to be matter, and it's got to be worth the energy that it's going to take to put it out there. And that's really where I am. Wanting to connect in a broader sense, uh, to more people more informally, to where I can really take those, what I was calling coffee chats, but really become coffee chats. Like, these are the conversations I have behind the scenes with people one on one or in a small group. And maybe even some of my large ones, but they're not recorded. Like, they don't go out. There are some aspects of those things that can't be captured. And I would like to be able to capture them here. So I'll be looking forward to sharing and talking about all the things. I am still very much a private person in some aspects. So there are things that I will probably have to process before I can like bring them here, and that makes sense. There are things that I have no problem at this point. I'm like, hey, here it is. Here we are. Here's what we're doing. And I look forward to doing that as well. And really and truly, especially in the times that we are in right now, reminding people, women especially women of color, that your voice matters. What you have to say matters. What you think matters. Your opinion matters. When I'm coaching people, I have to remind these really incredibly smart and talented women that what you say and what you do matters. And I realized, like, there's that part of me, because I was them. And I am them in some ways, but I'm a few steps ahead. So I know how to help rein it back in and be like, hey, you got this. We can do this together. And I want to continue to remind people of that, because, we all get hit by crazy shit that just comes out of nowhere. I mean, there's no other way to say it. In life, things are going fantastic, it seems, and then something blows up and it just withers away. Or something that we work so hard towards, like, gets intercepted by someone or gets torn down by someone. Or even when things are not like, oh my God, this big, crises, there are challenges even in pursuing success, right? It's normally not as clean and and neat as people would have you to believe. And I want to talk about that. I want to talk about what it looks like to work with people who behind your back are, you know, have no problem about to tear you down, or giving, when you're donating your time and services to causes that you care about, but there are other people involved who are really much more self-centered, and perhaps their first thought is not about the cause. Um, and what does that mean in moving forward for you, both as a professional and as a person, and not trying to divide those things? Because guess what? That's where things get really, really exhausting. I mean, burnout is its own thing, anyways. But when you're trying to juggle the professional you and the personal side of you and trying to keep them separate and not, it's not possible. Like, we are integrated beings. It's not possible. It's exhausting. Now, does that mean that you got to tell all your business all over the place? No, that's not what I'm talking about. But I'm talking about making sure that you can honor who you are at your core, wherever you are, whatever you're doing. I know that down through the years, more recently, kept saying, I don't work for other people anymore, so I can kind of say what I want to say. And I meant that, and I have. But I realized as much as I said, and people were like, whoa, I mean, like, you're pretty outspoken anyway. It's like, what is this unmuted version of Patricia going to look like? And every time I think I've reached that level, I realize I really haven't. Because I still do a whole lot of editing up here before it comes out. And you know what? Sometimes that's still good. Other times, I probably should go ahead and let it rip, because sometimes people need to understand that you should not be played with, that you should not be underestimated, or that they should not take your kindness for granted, especially in the professional realm. Um, but particularly when it starts to affect you personally, for with your family and friends, or your health, whatever it might be. So I know that seems like so much, and it is, but this is literally me going completely off the cuff to do my day one video with the challenge that Glow Autonomo has put out there. I don't know how long I'm going to do every day, but I am committed to showing up consistently and doing in some structured, some not so structured. So for sure, showing up here talking about, I do have to have some direction, right? I like being able to have a topic or something to really lean onto. I think what will be different here is that it won't necessarily be as structured. It'll be some of the stories behind the scenes of things that I've talked about before, and a little more, let's say, maybe a few more of the journal notes coming out of the mouth as opposed to through the pen, right? But also, I look forward to still taking some meatier topics, and that will seem like more teaching, and it'll be very clear, if that is something that ends up, it'll be available to you. But these conversations, I'm looking forward to being able to share on the regular, because there's a next level of Patricia, and this is a part of that, and it's overdue. I have not done a live long form video in over a year. I'm almost positive. I still do video most of the time, 3, 5, maybe 10 minutes over the course of the last year, because I needed a break, right? I was getting burned out, and I was trying to test something to see how far I could go without repeating, while I was repurposing some of my old content, all of the coffee chats and things like that. And I was really proud of myself, because if you go back, and I highly recommend you go check out the Coffee Chat video library from 2025. That's where I was made sure to put the majority of those professional topics that I talked about with leadership and networking and career development things and confidence, all of that. I made sure to repurpose in the 2025 year deliberately, very scheduled way, because I knew that I was not going back to that format. I didn't know what I was going to be doing, but I knew I wasn't going to be doing that format, and I wanted to make sure that there was certain content that could be easily accessed for that time period. And I'll be cleaning it up. It takes a lot, y'all. This takes a lot, and I didn't realize how much it was taking until I wasn't doing it on the regular. And I'm like, oh my god, I was recording those shows twice a week for years. I got pretty smart about batching. So as long as my voice would hold up, my friend and voice coach, do not say anything about this right now. Shh. But back then, I would batch anywhere from 2 to 4 episodes at a time because I had a rhythm, because it meant if I was doing two shows and recordings a week, that means it was 8 to 10 a month. And so, in order to keep that up, I batched them because I was working off of themes and topics. And I would do that for the Monday series, and I would do that for the Wednesday series. And then, when I needed breaks in the summer or at the holidays, I would repurpose some things from the previous year or from earlier in the year. And so that's how I got to last year and realizing how much content I actually had because I was able to repurpose content for 11 months. I went ahead and gave myself a break in December like I normally would, anyways. So there's 11 months of content with only one repeat. And that was an accident. It was an accident. I was so mad at myself too. I was like, what do you mean I did this one already? I was like, oh man. So with one repeat, that's a lot of content, y'all. And knowing that there's content that I did not share that is out there. Some longer projects that I had done that I realized, oh no, that's going to get used into a course, to a private course. Some other pieces that I've done down through the years that have become mini courses or projects that may get pulled eventually for those purposes. But that's a lot of hours. That's a lot of talking. That's a lot of training. And I'm looking forward to talking about what I intend to do with that. And as I lean into it and what it looks like to make those pivots to utilize what I've already done to lift me to a new level while also lifting others to make shifts and changes and pivots in their own lives during this time, because I am definitely of the mindset that with everything that's going on in our world today, specifically here in the United States, um, that speaking up and using your voice and continuing to pursue your goals and dreams is resistance in and of itself. And I've heard people say that, and I'm like, what does that really mean? Until I'm just watching it, and for me, it means that you're not giving in to the worry, to the despair. That's the word I'm looking for. You're not giving in to the despair of everything that's going on around you and around us right now, and acknowledging it, being supportive of those who are, who are suffering right now, giving in ways that I can, because we all give at different levels, different ways, different skill sets, and recognizing that we can't give up. We can't stop caring about the next level of who we want to be and where we want to go, because that is resisting the despair and not giving in um, to the effort to just really just kind of shut us all down and make us numb. That's where I'm looking for, numb to feeling like there's anything we can do. So that's the other piece. And maybe that's why some of this was delayed while I was still struggling and figuring out what to do and where to go next. Is maybe that's part of the reason. Like it's, you know, perfect timing, God's timing to say, Now it's time for you to use that voice of yours. It's time to open it up, use it again, and remind people that it's okay to care. It's okay to care about lifting and not just yourself, but others by being willing to acknowledge that you can have an impact today where you are and what the goals that you have do matter, and sharing them with other people matters to remind them that there's a way forward. And maybe that's it. Maybe that's what this is all about. Conversations about celebrating who you are today in this moment and moving forward, um, and recognizing and reminding you that they matter, that you matter, and it's worth the effort. So that's where we're going. That's where we're headed. And I am looking forward to this because my goodness, I could kind of go now. I'm ready. All right. So you'll see me moving around. I'm doing this like I feel like I'm truly starting from scratch because I'm not sitting in my office area. I'm not sitting all prim and proper behind my computer talking into that. Like we're starting like over here. And I think it's going to be okay. I think it's going to be okay. All right. Patricia here. So glad to be with you. Looking forward to having these conversations on how to celebrate you and all that you do. And I look forward to catching up with you. Talk to you tomorrow.